Sometimes you have your startup, right? You have a great idea that you're trying to monetize, and then you are looking for a startup business loan, but the only problem is you have bad credit. You kind of ask yourself why. Why are the lenders keep denying my ass over and over and over? And is it because I have bad credit, or is it because of something else? So I'm going to answer those questions into this conversation. I'll be giving you a lot of tips, a lot of hacks, a lot of strategies you can use to actually bypass the negative mark that bad credit has on your file, right? Because having bad credit doesn't mean you cannot get a startup business loan, and I'm going to prove it to you. Okay, so here are the steps I really want you to take. Number one, you need to review your credit profile. Everything goes back to credit profile. You know why? Because you're probably sitting there thinking, I have bad credit. But what if I told you that maybe you thought you were like a 400 or 450, but maybe you are like borderline fair credit or bad credit. In other words, you were around 579, 580, 595. That makes a big difference. It makes a big difference if you are at 400 versus you are at 600. The 200-point delta is huge. This is why it's always important to go back to your credit score 101 to be sure that if they say you have bad credit, that you indeed have bad credit. Okay, and sometimes the funny thing is that people get bad credit because of stuff. I mean, maybe you have somebody messed up your life in the past. It can be a close family member. It can be a friend. It can be anything. Like if you co-sign a loan or anything happened, whatever, you get bad credit, right? But the most important thing I want to say here is that you need to be sure about the info. By the way, welcome back to the show. It's really a pleasure to have you here. And I just want to emphasize the fact that when we talk about reviewing your credit profile, of course, you go to annualcreditreport.com, but you also make sure that there are a lot of other free credit score providers out there that will actually help you. But the bottom line is, if you see a problem, you want to dispute it, because sometimes you can have a bad credit score because of identity fraud. You never know. Like in this economy, people are really crazy, man. I'm just telling you, people are really, really crazy. So please check your credit to make sure that you know exactly where you are at. The second thing I want you to do here is to work on improving your credit if you have time. So if you are looking for a startup business loan with bad credit, ask yourself, how soon do I need the money? Because the thing is, when you have a startup, that expenses come like crazy. Like, one day you have to pay $1,000. The next day you have to pay $500. The other day you have to pay $700, $750. Like, especially if you're trying to move into an office, let's say you move into an office space, you're like, wow, I can't believe like furniture is costing $300. What the F? So what I'm trying to say here is that those expenses, they're not waiting for like your green light, whatever. They just like, hey, listen, we're here. Listen, we are here. So you better pay us or else. Okay. So you have this sort of conundrum where you have to ask yourself, where do I get the cash? So you have time. Do you have 3 months to get your startup business loan? Do you have 6 months? Talk to me about that. By the way, let me quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about how to get a startup business loan with bad credit. Okay. And so if you don't have an immediate need for a startup business loan, take some time to improve your credit score. I'm not telling you to go like do some yoga, whatever. Even though yoga will be a great thing to do anyway, but what I'm trying to say here is to actually go granular. Granularity is really important. You want to really dig a little deeper into your credit report and ask yourself, who's trying to play games with me here? Am I responsible for those charges? Like, am I the only guilty party here in terms of my FICO score went from like 750 to 450? Is it because of me? If it's because of you, then it's okay. But if it's not because of you, then you got to ask yourself, oh, well, whose fault is it? That's when you want to start thinking about filing dispute with Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian. Okay. But you can do more. So when we talk about actually improving your credit, you can actually dispute errors on your credit report. That's true. But you can also think about reducing your CUR, your credit utilization ratio. Son, daughter, this is something I want you to really go to bed every night and think about it. You want to really reduce your credit utilization ratio. and you want to pay down debts, and you also want to be in a situation where you are constantly making on-time payments on loans and credit cards. The third thing I want you to do here is to prepare your documentation. See, the whole thing is you're probably sitting there and thinking, you're all desperate. And yeah, I have bad credit. It's not really even worth it for me to apply for a startup business loan with bad credit. Like, I'm not even going to try because I know that the results already. They're going to deny my ass one more time. And I'm just tired of this SHIT. Well, the thing is, listen, what if I told you that you can offset the negativity, the negative mark that your bad credit is bringing onto your startup business loan application. You can offset that by having the strongest paperwork possible. I mean, I'm talking so strong. Everybody will be like, whoa, this is some real deal. Okay, you'll need to provide documents such as your business plan. So if you're trying to actually offset, you're trying to mitigate the documentation, like the fact that you have bad credit. If you're trying to mitigate that mark, that negative mark, make sure that you work on your business plan. Actually, we call it here the triple B, not Better Business Bureau, but business plan, bank statements, business licenses. Okay, those three things will really work in your favor. Because, so for instance, when I'm talking about business plan, I'm talking about you actually writing a compelling business plan. See, the whole thing is everybody thinks that you're not going to get the loan because you have bad credit. What can you do to prove them wrong? I mean, I'm not asking you to write the business plan yourself if you can't do it. I mean, listen, not everybody has the same forte. Maybe your forte is elsewhere. Your forte is running your business. I understand that. Listen, don't get me wrong. I understand that. But so why don't you just try to outsource the whole thing? You have a lot of folks who will actually write a business plan for less than $100. It's a good investment. Don't get me wrong, boss. It's a good investment. Don't be a stingy ass here. Don't be a stingy ass. I mean, if you're looking for a $100,000 in business loan or $40,000 or $50,000, you can't even spare $100 for business plan writer. Come on, boss. Come on. You gotta really stop this stingy ass attitude here, okay? So business plan is important. Your bank statements are important. I'm talking here about you having solid bank reference. No, don't try to play games and have your name, actually end up on a check system. Don't do that. Don't play those games. And the third thing is your business licenses. So you want to explain, you want to demonstrate to the lender that, hey, listen, your business is legit. You ain't playing games here. You are here to make money and you are here for the long haul. That's how banks really will judge it. Banks love it when a company has something called a going concern. That means you are going to be here for the long haul. Very important. Another thing I want to say here is that, listen, if you have bad credit, remember a word that I'm going to say a lot into this conversation. That word is granularity. When you have bad credit, lenders are actually paying attention to everything. They're paying attention to everything. If you want to have a startup business loan with them, they will examine your revenue. They'll examine your company's revenue, your startup's revenue, your startup's business plan to ensure you can repay your loan on time. See, the whole thing here is that when we talk about business credit, we are speaking about something retrospective. In other words, it's in the past, retro. But when we talk about business plan, we're speaking about something prospective. In other words, it will happen in the future. This is an important element to keep in mind. You know why? Because lenders are actually looking at your credit, your bad credit, and thinking, okay, he or she made mistakes in the past, by being financially irresponsible and whatnot. Okay, stuff happens, being there, done that. Everybody goes through stuff in their life, whatever. Okay. But what about the perspective aspect of things? Has this person learned his or her lesson? What is the vision that this person has so that this thing that led to the bad credit in the first place never happen again? The things that led to the bad credit score in the past, what are the mitigants? What are the barriers? Okay, what are the controls, the financial controls that this person has put in place? So this is really important. This is what I mean by granularity. And granularity means that the lender is looking at your business plan, is examining your financial projections, your income statement, your projected income statement, your projected balance sheet, your projected cash flow statements to actually make sure you can repay the loan. Remember, we're speaking here about projections, not actual data, because you have a startup. You haven't gotten a chance to prove yourself in terms of revenue generation yet. Okay, so this is really important to remember. And when we talk about granularity, we're speaking also in terms of the lender digging deep into your personal credit score. So it's not just about the lender looking at your business credit score and business credit history and whatnot. The lender is looking at two things at the same time. That's, this dual analysis is important, because the lender is like, hey, listen, if this person has bad credit, what will happen to this loan here? So if you're able to do a good job at convincing the lender that you can repay the loan, you will get the credit you need. Another thing you can do, boss, and I'm just trying to, I'm just spilling all the beans today, and consider adding a cosigner or collateral to your loan. By the way, I want to quickly remind you of today's topic. We're having a conversation about how to get a startup business loan with bad credit. Okay, and it's really important to remember that when we talk about this kind of credit, this kind of loan, right? The lender constantly is trying to cover his or her ass. It is what it is. They don't want to lose money. They're looking at your ass and thinking, this is not really interesting here. This person, the probability of default is kind of high. Okay, how do you solve that? Well, sometimes if you have somebody in your entourage, I know these days it's kind of complicated. Everybody's kind of scared about the economy. The stock market is going down, whatever, the Wall Street Journal is saying, hey, listen, the economy is going to a deflation, zone. The New York Times is just really everything is so pessimistic, whatever. But if you, amid all this despair, if you have someone in your entourage whom you trust and who trusts you and is willing to actually be a co-signer for you, hey, listen, jump on that. You want to jump on that bandwagon. You want to actually seize that opportunity, okay? Or if you have collateral, or if you have collateral personally, or you have collateral at the business level, because sometimes you can have a startup business, but the business has some assets that you probably maybe transfer to the business when you open the business, or somebody offered you those assets, so you can actually collateralize the loan with those assets. It will be very fantastic. So you'll get your loan anywhere. Okay, so this is just a possibility here. I'm not saying this is the only thing, but this could be a possibility, because let's face it, son, daughter, uncle, aunt, grandpa, grandma, mom, dad, we all know that qualifying for a startup business loan with bad credit on your own may be difficult, right? So adding a cosigner to your loan or securing the loan with the collateral may make it easier to get approved when you really think about it. But please be warned that if you find yourself unable to pay the money back, you can lose your collateral or destroy your relationship with your cosigner, who will be left on the hook for the loan. This is what I'm just saying. The person has to trust you. There has to be a mutually trustworthy relationship here. One thing I want to do, if you're trying to get a startup business loan with bad credit, is to really kind of sit down and ask yourself, where can I actually get the best loan amount at the most affordable rates? Because sometimes when we are so desperate to get cash, we go and apply for the first comer, anybody who comes here, I just need cash, whatever, and you get a hard pull over hard pull over hard pull. Before you know it, you are losing 50 points a day, or 50 points in a day, in a single day, because you have 5 or 6 hard pulls. That's kind of crazy. So this is why you have to ask yourself, okay, so when we talk about shopping around with multiple lenders, when we talk about startup business lenders, you have a layering. We call it a hierarchy. So on top you have the big banks, the Chases of the world, the Bank of America of the world, the Wells Fargo of the world. You have the Citi of the world. In the middle, you have the middle tier institution. So I'm talking about the U.S. Bank of the world. You have the PNC. You have the Fifth Third. You have the BMO Harris. You have a lot of players. You have Truist, which got bigger after the merger of BB&T and SunTrust. And then, so that's the middle. Then you have the lower middle, what we call this one. You have the TD Bank. You have the Capital One. You have Citizens Financial. You have you have First Citizens. And then you have at the bottom you have the local and state banks. Why am I trying to tell you this? I'm trying to tell you this because if you don't qualify for a loan with the bank, you have with the national bank, you have other players. In addition to that, you have the same thing for credit unions. Okay, you have big credit unions where you can get business, you can have a startup business loans, and if that doesn't work, you can go to online lenders, and you can also go to alternative lenders. Okay, online lenders, you have the players like Blue Vine, you have players like American Express business line of credit, you have players like On Deck, you have players like Fundbox, you have players like you have a lot of players. And for alternative lenders, you have a Kalamata Group, you have Balboa Capital, you have a lot of players too. Okay, my point is you need to shop around with multiple lenders, because you could be thinking, hey, I have a startup, and I'm looking for a business loan. Can I get a loan with bad credit? Yes, you can. The only compromise you need to be prepared to make here is to accept that you may not find the lowest APR available. Okay, so I mean, as long as you're comfortable with that, that's fine. Because I mean, I can guarantee you. I mean, we work with a lot of those lenders all the time. I mean, sometimes they're called subprime lenders, some subprime business lenders. Okay, and it's not easy to get a loan with them, but you can get a loan. And if you get a loan, sometimes they actually compensate the risk by charging very high interest. Sometimes they will charge you fees, like, closing fees and whatnot. But hey, you'll get your cash. You'll get something. Okay, so the opportunities are definitely out there. So the last thing I want you to do here is to actually submit a formal loan application. So, if you want to get a startup business loan with bad credit, I mean, at some point you need to actually submit your loan application. I mean, we know a lot of startup owners who actually spend a lot of time doing research over research. You kind of ask yourself, man, I mean, it's about time you decided. I mean, what the F is happening here, and that's called analysis paralysis. Like, you're kind of scared about making the final move, that kind of thing. And it's not really worth it. So if you've done a research, right? I mean, what's the worst that could happen? Well, the worst that could happen is you get denied once again. But again, if it didn't kill you in the past, it will never kill you now. Okay, so let's face it. Let's just look at the reality, like with the very, very calm eyes, so to speak. You got to submit a formal loan application, and I've told you about the importance of the 3 B's, right? We spoke about business plan, bank statements, and bank references. And the 3rd B being business licenses. I mean, obviously there are other things that you have to do. I mean, we advise usually on this show to always contact the lender first. Don't actually submit an application out of a blue. Don't do it randomly. Like, sometimes they'll tell you, hey, listen, go to the website. You just enter your information, whatever. I mean, the only time you go to a website is if you want to pre-qualify for a business loan, whether it is a startup business loan or just a regular business loan. You want to pre-qualify, you go to the website, you enter your information. That's fine. I mean, that's cool. But when it comes to applying for real, like, don't do it online unless they tell you to do so. Especially if you have big banks such as Chase or PNC or Truist. Go to a branch and have a conversation with someone. Sit down, sit your ass down and have a conversation with someone. Okay, and basically you ask all questions that you need, and whatever it is, they will just let you know, and you just apply right then and there. And the lender may contact you if it requires additional documentation to approve your startup business loan. But most of the time, if you do things at a branch, you would have answered all questions beforehand. So it is what it is. Thank you so much for your attention. I really appreciate it. In today's conversation, I explained to you very clearly how to get a startup business loan with bad credit. Okay, so we looked at a lot of things that you have to do. You want to review your credit profile, work on improving your credit. Okay, prepare your documentation, consider applying with a co-signer, shopping around with multiple lenders, and submitting a formal loan application. Thank you. God bless you. I'll speak to you another time. But until then, remember, stay marvelous.